Welcome to Isis in the Bible Summer Gathering Week number 10, Heave In's Gateway. The question for today is, where is this gateway? This gateway to the divine, the spiritual gateway, a celestial portal, divine threshold, the eternal doorway, the sacred passage, the holy entrance, the cosmic door, the pearly gates, the astral entryway, the chakras. Where is it? When you pass a light through a focused pinhole, does not the light become pure like a laser? What do you think those pretty lights are in the sky? And like Kat said, it's easier to get a camel through an eye of a needle. Well, that's what they're trying to say there, is that only love goes through, only the pure goes through, the rest is noise that stays with us. The image you see on the screen here was produced with AI, and here's the caption that it gave. An illustration unveils an ancient Egyptian temple, its grand entrance fashioned like a narrow gate. Above this gate, a shimmering light vortex spirals, guiding souls in their ascent to their heavenly state of being. The heart centers of diverse individuals waiting before the gate radiate intensely, signifying their bond with love and their preparedness to transcend. And so I added this nice little Isis in the Bible gang, because we're working every day. I know we get challenges, I know we get tests, but we got to get back to the now, love and forgiveness, because that's the way to get through the gate. We got to be full of love, heart-centered. When I edit the video, I'll be adding everybody's responses. So what's happening in the sky? Well, we're going to jump to October the 17th, because there's a station of the cross that we're going to tune into. Let's tune into the harvest station of the cross. So on October the 17th, the sun moves into Libra. You can see here the sun aligns Spica at harvest season. This is setting in the west. This is 0 Libra. So this is the true celestial fall season, when the sun moves into Libra, weighing of the heart. This is what's actually happening in the sky. If you grab a star app, you'll see it. So first it was you with Mary on April 15th. That was the Phoenix rising. And then you're making your journey around, and you're here now on October the 17th. Truly your Libra Aries, right? You were in Aries with Mama in the head, and now your heart's getting weighed as light as a feather. The libraries of your actions. Libra Aries is libraries. But wait, there's more on this day. But first, let me preface the synchronicity. I didn't have this alignment with Juno and Regulus. So a sparrow comes and flaps its wings exactly at this time. It was actually at 10:11, 1011, which is the 60 repeating numbers in the east, right? Juno, which is Mary Magdalene, is aligned with the midheaven. Exactly when the sparrow flapped its wings on the window. They're speaking to us. They're constantly speaking to us. And it said, you have a greater chance of solving a difficult problem when others join you to tackle it. And it's exactly what the sparrow was doing. You're forgetting something. So I went to go look. And this is Juno is exactly aligned with Regulus on that day, on October the 17th. So you're going to meet with Mary, who's about to step on the snake, right, on November 27th. That's this image. That's in most every church. Mary steps on a snake, and you know at the back, on the back of a cobra is this symbol. This is which eclipses the sun and the moon. So Mary's at the gate. Both Marys are at the gate. Regulus is Leo, the heart of the lion. You know, when we have the sun going by there, they're saying it's the great gateway, right? So both Marys are going to be testing your heart on October the 17th. So we've been feeling that for the last 3 years. And again, when the Lord, which is the ruling goddess, when she's on an energetic cusp, which she's been going back and forth for over 3 years, So it started 3 years before, and it'll be 3 years after this fall, which is the fall of Babylon. We have to let go of our ego. So, of course, you remember the eclipse is happening in 3 days, right? And this eclipse is happening in 27-degree Virgo, which is close to the harvest season. And there's Lilith. Lilith is transiting by the tail of the snake. And if you remember who Lilith is, that's Medusa, right? And that would be Sekhmet. That would be Mimsy. That would be the Sphinx. So all these alignments are all happening. And today we're going to talk about Pluto, God the Father, the one that the regeneration, because he's just come out of retrograde. He's going direct. Retrograde is when they go backwards in the sky, right? They go backwards in the sky, and then they come back. So when they go over top of your personal experiences called your natal chart, if something happened to you, know that Pluto's going to come back and your masculine side is going to get tested. Because Pluto is your higher self from previous lives and wanting you to do a good job. So they're often facing. So be ready to receive some really invigorating energies. The more we cleanse, the more these energies are going to come to us, and you're going to have these beautiful moments of inspiration that'll outweigh the feelings that we get when we're not feeling good. And I know some of you are going through these up and down roller coasters like we are, and especially like my wife has for the past 3 years, but she's coming out of it now. So just know there is an end in sight. There is an end in sight. So don't dwell in it. Don't dwell in the moment that happened to you. If something's happened to you, it's going to go away. It's a wave. So thanks, Dave Carlson, for sending me this post by Michael Payne. It's so awesome to work together for one love. As discussed, Pluto comes out of retrograde, called direct. And then we have a solar eclipse on October the 14th. And then we have a lunar eclipse on October 28th. And then Saturn turns direct. All these things that everybody's feeling, well, you don't feel these unless Mother Mary's on a cusp. And hence, this is why they have in the churches all over the world, Mary stepping on the snake. She's showing you stepping on the nodes of the moon, that which eclipses, gives people experiences. So all these things don't mean much unless she's home, unless she's on one of the gates, the 12 gates, the zodiac gates, all leading to the point in the middle, the heart center. So spread the word. Although this is being called an eclipse portal, it's only a symptom of the Mother Mary, the Mother of God, which is you. You are God. G-O-D is the yin-yang symbol. So it's all about you and your world, your inner world, that love within. So do you guys remember this slide? The Great Conjunction not only had Pluto and Saturn, that's why it's important that Pluto and Saturn are coming out now right around this time, around harvest. So you had Mercury, Pluto, Saturn, Ceres, and the Sun, which is the weighing of the heart ceremony. So we've been upon it since the beginning. So, and it's really important to note that Eris, Isis, Madonna, she went direct on that day. So these are all still reminders that she's home. I'm home, kids. Mama's home. You guys have been partying. Time to clean up house. And the house is your heart. And your house, the forgiveness. Your broom is forgiveness. To clean up the heart. So we're going to talk a little bit about an act of God. Or dog. Because dog and God are the same word. They're called a palindrome. Forward and backwards is really the same word. So I'm not sure if you guys remember that we showed you guys October 4th, a gateway was going to open up. An energetic cusp is going to be aligned. On October the 4th, this is what happened.
On October 4th, 2023, a major disaster of a geologic origin struck high within the Himalayas of India, as people who lived within numerous villages were suddenly alerted to a loud roaring sound. Not long after hearing this, a wall of water appeared that towered as much as 60 feet above the height of the Teesta River, even carrying with it large blocks of concrete. The concrete in question partially originated due to the destruction of a large dam, specifically the Teesta 3 dam 45 kilometers to the north. Once this massive flood had ended, more than 70 people were confirmed dead, with a dozen still missing. More than 1,000 structures were destroyed, and a trail of damage was left that was more than 150 kilometers in length. Although there is not a firm damage assessment yet, the destroyed dam on its own had cost $1.5 billion to build.
So on October the 4th, and you don't hear about this stuff. That's massive. 80 people on one shot. If it was 10 people somewhere in the United States, it'd be all over the news, but you don't hear this. Why? But this is called a disaster. Think about that. A flood of water went down and ripped out a huge dam, a 1-point-something billion dollar dam, busted it open and brought all that concrete down into people's villages, and it traveled for 150 kilometers. You think that's important? Yeah. Mother's trying to get our attention. Here is the etymology of disaster. Disaster. Latin, the term disaster comes from the old Italian word disastro, which is derived from the Latin phrase dis astro. Dis in Latin is a prefix that means has a negative or reversing force. Aster or astral comes from Latin word star, which is derived from the Greek aster, meaning dis plus astro, when combined, dis and astro essentially means bad star or ill star, which reflects the knowledge in astrology that disasters were caused by positions of celestial bodies. The word disaster is etymologically linked to the concept of bad stars or ill-fated stars. So there you go. Just like influenza, the flu is influence from the stars. Influenza. Are you picking up when I'm lying down? So from our meeting, on May 31st, 2023, we showed you that October the 4th, we're going to be monitoring to see what happens. Because look what happens. You got Mother Mary and the North Node are still making their way back to the stepping on the snake. Mars is aligned with the South Node and with Ceres. So that means people are going to leave. This is on the harvest line. This is on the Libra Aries. These are the energetic cusps, the gateways to the heart center, where everybody has to be heart-centered. So there's a major alignments along we've had other ones. When the prophet mongers suspect something but try to hide it is this slide. And Kat can confirm this because she was affected by it. On October 4th, there was a nationwide emergency alert test conducted by FEMA and the FCC in the United States. The test involved sending alerts to all U.S. cell phones, TVs, and radios. There's no information indicating that a disaster occurred on that date. Because I asked, was there a disaster? I already knew because I found that video. So I asked AI and said, no. I said, well, what about in Himalaya? Oh, on October 4th, 2023, a significant disaster, so something affected by the stars, occurred in the Indian Himalayas. A glacial lake burst its banks, triggering flash floods that resulted in at least 42 confirmed deaths. Of course, there's going to be all kinds of different numbers, right? And nearly 100 people missing. So there's prophet mongers that use astrology. Remember J.P. Morgan's famous quote, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. So there's people out there that aren't being truthful. They're trying to make money. And so this whole thing of COVID and everything else, we predicted it, right? We did it back in May of 2019. We predicted we're going to go through a corona chakra cleanse, and we are. So the truth is always going to come out. But again, we got to be loving because those are our brothers and sisters that are being deceitful. It's Revelation, folks, and we're going into Genesis. These cusps are important. Let's talk about the Black Death just really in brief because I'm trying to get to you about what an act of God means. Because the Black Death in 1343 to 1351, we showed you a whole bunch of charts, and look who was aligned in 1343 AD, the Son and the Mother right at the Piscean cusp, the station of the cross, Mary and the Son meeting at one of the stations of the cross, the 12 stations of the cross. So word, how does this got to do with act of God? So I'm just asking you for focus for a bit because I really need your attention. Because the circle of fifths is the gateways, is the harmonics, is the time when all things are amplified, but it's amplified with love. So whatever's happening to people is only their karma, it's not yours. So don't imagine it. The only way you can help them is by imagining them being filled with love and giving them good images. So here we go in June 23rd, 1348. One of the bar graphs that I got from that book is showing you all the deaths and what was happening during that death. There's Mars and Juno at the cusp. Okay, that's Mary Magdalene and Mars, very energetic on the cusp. Pluto's on a cusp. Ceres and Mary are on the cusp, and so is Neptune. So this is your act of God, because only people see Pluto. They don't know about Eris. They don't know about Ceres. They don't follow Juno. So they call it an act of God because people could see Pluto, but they can't see Eris, because you need special equipment to see Eris, the mother of God. So again, an act of God. You can see you can see the graphs. You can see Pluto's with Ceres at 0 degree Aries on a cusp. Mary's on a cusp. Neptune's on a cusp. So these are going to be very energetic for us. They can be invigoratingly beautiful once we cleanse. But again, you got to use love and forgiveness. And again, in 1381, 1382, there's Pluto. Pluto transits back and forth, right? Just like Mary. Look at Pluto on the cusp. There's an act of God. But they forget about the mother because the mother's there. Look at Mary with Ceres. And people go. So this is from AI. The Black Plague in Europe. The Black Plague returned to Europe in 1382 and took an especially heavy toll on Ireland. This information is provided by the University of Iowa libraries in their timeline of the Black Death. Malaria in Ninfa, Italy. In the same year, Italy was sacked during the Papal Wars, and a terrible outbreak of malaria occurred, leaving a ghost town. Okay, so you can forget about wars. Everybody that leaves the visible, it's in their chart. It's their karma. It's their time. And they're infinite, and they come back. So you can see they talked about 1982, but look at, in this book, 1381, 1382, 1383. That's because Pluto's been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's just a cleanse. It's a vibratory cleanse. So folks, these are the gateways. And I'm so honored to be heart-centered with each and every one of you as we hold hands when we go through this. Because if we're just trying to be woken up, to be those people that forgive and love everyone and everything. And when we get a wave that's not good, take it out of your now as fast as you can. Ask yourself for forgiveness, forgive others, create that image with love. It works. Many people start changing their lives immediately by doing that. Some of us take longer. Some of us do. But we got to keep at it. So let's just a few, and then I got a little short video clip for you. A beautiful one. Gates in the Bible, the Old Testament, Jacob's ladder. He was afraid and said, "How awesome is this place? There is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven." Remember, it's the house of love. We've mistranslated a few things. The G, the little g, O, and D is the 609 is the yin and the yang. It's the point in the middle. This part here, this O is where the divine feminine is. The G and the D are the yin and the yang that are tethered to the love. Isaiah 26:2, righteous nation, open the gates that the righteous nation may enter, the nation that keeps the faith. In other words, us, when we are experiencing these gates, these energetic disasters, the astrology shows you that it's the stars that give us these beautiful, loving cleanses that clean us up. It's a perfect system that we live in to get this human experience, and we can't get away with anything. You got to love and you got to forgive. In the New Testament, Matthew 7:13, 14, narrow and wide gates. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. Save the most important one for last. Revelation 21, the New Jerusalem. It had a great high wall with 12 gates and with 12 angels at the gates. The 12 gates were 12 pearls, and each gate made of a single pearl. These are the cusps of the stations of the cross. And when those pearls, called stars, that give us this asters, right? When those stars, when those planets, those little laser beams, right? When they cross that gate, they're just trying to invigorate us. But if we've not been pure last few lives, which many of us haven't been, we're going to cleanse. But that's okay. Greet it with gratitude, because now you're going to change every image that you've ever had into love, and you will feel incredible. So that's today's message. I want to share this. Thank you, Terry, for sharing this. Not of This World is her name, and she does these beautiful little videos. So leave with a feel good for today. Thank you, not of this world. And thank you, Terry, for sharing that. It's so beautiful. So the stations of the cross are the gateways. We're about to embark on a major one on November 27th, and all these are signs, right? November 27th is when Mary steps on the snake. Will something happen? Most definitely. Will you experience it? Most definitely. Can you ensure you get the most invigorating experience? Most definitely. Turn off the news. Only let good images in. Only focus on good thoughts. The gates of heaven is in your heart. Keep it as light as a feather. That's all I have for today.